We grow up with our definition of fear being the monsters under our beds. The simpler times when we insisted on night lights to interrupt the intentions of whatever it was that was lurking in the darkness of our bedroom. The days of our lives where we could run to our parents asking for help, and that action of asking for help was a much easier and safer task than it is today. Now, we know as we get older that there is in fact no ferocious beast with gnashing teeth underneath us as we sleep, but we definitely still have our own monsters. And the difference between how we react now versus how we reacted then as children is we don't immediately run crying to ask for help to scare those monsters away. Because perhaps we'd rather pull the sheets over our heads than to expose such vulnerability. And out of this comes the question I'm asking you to ponder today. Do we fear showing weakness more than we do the actual monsters in our lives? Why is it that the abstract idea of fear itself more intimidating and more powerful than what it is we are actually fearing? In my house, we have a sign that says, "What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail?" And I think for each one of us, it's very personal and individual to you, because whether it's raising your hand in class to ask for help that you're afraid of, or texting that boy you like, not wanting to look clingy or needy, or whether you're drowning in something that's much more serious than those day-to-day problems. Because I feel like we are more afraid of what we have to lose than all that we have to gain. We're afraid of standing out, so we blend in. We're afraid of saying the wrong thing, so we say nothing at all. We're afraid of judgment, so we keep our vulnerability secure inside ourselves. We're afraid of showing weakness, so we put on a happy face and pretend that we aren't in fact afraid. That we aren't in fact afraid of whatever it is we're drowning in. Or that we aren't afraid of our emotions, or our thoughts, or our fears, or our weaknesses, because we don't want to make ourselves look vulnerable. But there is power in that vulnerability, and there is power in that fear. Because a hero in the stories that we read as children are not heroes without something going on against them, and despite all odds, defeating the dragons in their lives and the evil stepmothers. They overcame it all, and because of it, they get to be titled heroes. And the thing about those heroes is that they don't do it alone. There's usually a sidekick, and it doesn't mean that they're any less important or able to do it on their own. It just means that the extra help along the way is what boosted them to their potential. But I realize that we don't live in a fairy tale. We live in a real world where society tells us, and we tell ourselves, that exposing ourselves and our vulnerability is just as, if not more, terrifying than what it is we need help with. Because it means that we have weakness and we can't do it on our own, which is a bad thing. But really, we can use that fear as a stimulus and motivation to overcome the monsters that are no longer in our beds, but perhaps the monsters in our heads. In conclusion, hope is the only thing that is stronger than fear. And so, if we are so afraid of feeling alone, why do we allow ourselves to go on that way?